Well, one candidate had a lot to lose, but probably did not. The rest had everything to gain. Did they in last night's first Democratic presidential debate? Jeff Engel, director for the Center of Presidential History at SMU. So Hillary Clinton, not exactly somebody you'd call naturally spontaneous and lighthearted. She kind of was last night.
I think she's the one that came off best and came off the most presidential in large part because she came off as more likable than people expected. I mean, let's face it, she's the one who has the experience. She's been up on that stage before in 2008 and been in the public eye for more than a generation. She felt comfortable, she laughed, and she looked like she had command of the issues. I think it was her night.
Right. I did spot Chelsea in the audience. Am I crazy? Bill wasn't there?
I did not see Bill, but I didn't get the VIP list either.
Right, right. Well, he was probably backstage whispering advice during the commercial breaks. But she did pretty well. You say Bernie Sanders did not do himself any favors last night. How so?
I think it's important to take a step back and remember that we're talking about a presidential election, which is different from any other office in the country, in that we want somebody who's going to project not only leadership but vision and hope and optimism. And Sanders, when asked for his vision, gave a list of problems. Now, I'm not saying those problems don't matter, but people don't want to hear the problems, they want to hear the solutions.
Right.
And I think ultimately this is a high watermark for his campaign.
A high watermark and downhill from here.
That's what I sense, only because of tone.
And here's how you get us, let's take a listen to one example of that.
We have massive wealth and income inequality. Our trade policies have cost us millions of decent jobs. The American people want to know whether we're going to have a democracy or an oligarchy as a result of Citizens United. Enough of the emails. Let's talk about the real issues facing America.
Well, he did stay on message, and that is his message, is the income inequality one. But as far as overall in this debate, very different from the Republican debate, because it actually had some substance.
It did. I think the most important thing and the most striking thing about what we saw last night was what wasn't there. We didn't have any candidate calling another stupid. We didn't have any candidate making fun of another person's looks. It was a debate among people who wanted to talk about the issues, and I think in large part because there were 5 candidates as opposed to 11, they had a better forum for discussing the issues, and I think it was a much more substantive and thoughtful debate.
Current events also came into this, and Hillary Clinton, for one, and we'll take a listen here and then talk about it, but Hillary Clinton said big difference between Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders is Sanders hasn't been as tough as he could on one issue. Here it is.
This has gone on too long, and it's time the entire country stood up against the NRA. The majority of our country supports background checks, and even the majority of gun owners do. Senator Sanders did vote 5 times against the Brady bill. Since it was passed, more than 2 million prohibited purchases have been prevented. He also did vote.
And they all had the opportunity at one point, which I thought was interesting, to single out, in your political career, who are the enemies that you've made? And she singled out the National Rifle Association, among others. Interestingly, among others, Republicans. Which could be dangerous because she will have a Republican-controlled Congress just like Barack Obama does.
Well, and I think it actually speaks to her, the biggest problem that she has with the electorate, which is that they've known her for a long time, and they've known her for a long time in a period of confrontation and a period of partisan strife. And so for her to say that Republicans are her biggest enemy, what she's really saying is, if I'm elected, expect more fighting, expect more of a return to the 90s of arguing and debate and bickering. And frankly, Washington's not in a good place now, and she's not presenting the idea that she's going to come in and fix it.
Let's talk about the also-rans in this, the other 3 people on the stage who had everything to gain, like name recognition, and very little to lose.
Yeah, I think of the other 3, only one of them actually can give themselves good marks for the night, and that's O'Malley. I think he looked good, he sounded right, and he had a lot of forceful ideas. Jim Webb, I think, is going to be remembered most in this debate for complaining about how little time he got, and Lincoln Chafee for making, I think, almost an oops moment, if you will, of saying that I didn't know what I was voting for when I got my daddy's seat, is not a great tagline for the campaign.
Right. He was asked about a particular vote when he was new to the Senate, and said, "Well, my dad had just died.
I was appointed.
I was appointed. I was new. I was still finding my way around the Capitol, and I didn't know what I was voting on." And that is not presidential.
No, it doesn't sound good. It makes complete sense in terms of
Right.
Washington, and everybody, when they get to a new job, wants to have a sense of where to go and lay the groundwork, but it doesn't sound presidential.
Really briefly, if I'm Joe Biden, did I see an opening last night or not?
I don't think so. And I think the reason is because that everybody on the stage was willing to talk about politics and policy mattering, not like the Republicans where they talked about being a business person. Joe Biden is Washington.
Right, right, absolutely. Thanks very much.
Oh, my pleasure.
Appreciate it.
Good to see you.
Looking forward to a lot more. It's going to be a long season. Still to come here on Good Day.